create more jobs is to cut jobs. Government jobs, that is. He wants to slash the federal workforce by 10%. That's a terrific idea. Florida Republican Congressman Dennis Ross. Congressman Ross, welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Thank you, Judge. Good to be here.
How would this work? How would we cut the federal workforce, which now is into the many millions, by 10%?
Well, we've got the largest workforce we've ever had. And what it would do, this bill would allow for the reduction of the federal workforce by way of attrition. So for every 3 federal workers who either retired or quit, we'd only hire 1 more. Over a 10-year period of time, the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, suggested it would save around $130 billion. That's a great start.
Are the Republicans in the House joining you on this, or is Republican leadership going to water this down to see if the president can get on board?
Well, I will tell you, I'm very honored that I've got Chairman Darrell Issa, Chairman of the Oversight Committee, on board with this bill. So that's a great start. If we can get it through the Oversight Committee, bring it to the floor, I think we'll get not only leadership on, but we'll get it out of the House of Representatives.
Congressman Ross, does it apply across the board, to the Pentagon, to Health and Human Services, to the FBI, to the Justice Department, to every group of human beings that the federal government employs in its bloated bureaucracy?
Yes, sir. Well, we want to be able to do. Now, we're not saying you have to lose your job today or tomorrow, but we know that there's over 400,000 employees that are ready to retire. If we had them retire and then we only replaced 1 for every 3 that we retire, we'd do so much to reduce the size of government.
I think you're on to something here. I think this is going to be very popular. I think a lot of Democrats are going to join you. Let me ask you this. Do you think that the president has lost his post-killing of bin Laden bump, and people are now far more concerned about economic issues, government spending money that it doesn't have, employing people that shouldn't be there, borrowing money it shouldn't be borrowing, and this is being reflected in the president's poor performance in these popularity polls?
That, Judge, and you look at what the unemployment rate went up to last Friday with the reporting of 9.1% of unemployment. Yes, I think people say, okay, we accomplished our foreign mission over there, but what are we doing domestically? Why is the NLRB preventing Boeing from coming into South Carolina in a right-to-work state and expanding their business? Because the NLRB wants to stop it because they say they're breaking up a union. Why is this president allowing the National Mediation Board from going in and trying to get Delta Airlines now to unionize, even though they've had 8 votes that say they don't want to unionize their workers? This president is doing more to interrupt and prohibit the expansion of our economy. And I think the sooner that we recognize that, the better off we're going to be.
I guess this presidential election campaign, Congressman Ross, will be over first principles. Like, is it the role of the federal government to plan the economy centrally from Washington, or is it the role of the federal government to let the free market, the free choices of consumers and investors, do their own thing, unimpeded by the government and central planning?
Judge, I'm with you on the latter there. I just had a job fair today in my home district, and I saw people come out that are desperate for jobs, and I saw employers talk to me and said, you know, if we could just open up some capital, if some banks would just give us some money, we have the ability to expand. But more importantly, if we had the certainty of a tax policy, if we had the certainty of a regulatory environment that wasn't going to choke us to death, we could create more jobs. You know, we want to see the entrepreneurial spirit in this country come back to life. This president needs to stand back. He needs to let those innovators that are out there that can change this market, that can put people to work, and let them do their thing.
One of the most eloquent defenses I have heard, Congressman, of the role of Congress in the economy. Do the rest of your Republican colleagues agree with you?
I'd say there's a growing minority that's starting to agree with me. I think there are a lot of us that were elected in last election that realize that we have one shot. And if we don't try to accomplish everything we said we would do to create jobs, to create less government, to create more opportunities for the innovator, then I think we're going to be one-termers, and that, you know, we're going to move into an area that I don't want to even think about. But I think we're starting to grow a little bit in numbers, and I think you're going to see more conservatives come to the table.
Congressman Dennis Ross from Florida, it's a pleasure, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for having me. Have a good day.
Of course. You as well. With a major big spending mouthpiece disgraced, is the Democrats'